you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Braintree Financial Group, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. I hope you are having a fantastic day. As always, having a pretty good day. Just got done working out, making more of a conscientious effort to take care of myself first. And that's something I've started doing, quite a while ago. Making sure I do my best to take care of me first. Sometimes I do a great job of it. Sometimes I do a not so good job of it. But the fact of the matter is I know that's something that I need to do. And a lot of times the first step to getting anywhere in life is recognition. Recognizing what it is that needs to be done, recognizing what it's going to take to get that done, counting the cost, and then, taking decisive action. That's what you're going to do. And that's what you're going to make happen. And so I want to talk to you folks about something that we all need to do. And this is going to be very critical to our success moving down the road. And this is going to be big. This is probably going to be one of the biggest topics I talked about in quite a long time. I do talk about important things, but I'm telling you, this is a game changer. And if you are not going to be ready for this, two things are going to happen. Either you're going to get with it or you're going to get ran over. And it was funny because I was talking to my neighbor the other day at the gym, and, we're talking about a decision that I had to make. And, she knows I own my own business and she knows what that takes. And actually, she's my next door neighbor and we go to the same gym. So we talk quite often. And I was explaining to her how things are in the world today. And I said, you have to move forward. You got to not only go with the flow, you got to be ahead of the flow. Because if you don't get ahead or stay up with what's going on, you're going to get ran over. She said, left behind. I said, there is no more left behind these days. I said, these days you get ran over. And I'm going to talk to you folks about that because there's a lot of people that are getting ran over every single day. What am I talking about here? I'm going to give you guys an example. The title of my show is this: Are you dialed in or are you checked out? Are you dialed in or have you checked out? And I'm going to submit to you folks today that you must get dialed in. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. Are you dialed in or checked out? This is tough, and I'm going to put this out there. There's some major things that are coming down the pipe right now. Some major things. Number one, we have AI, artificial intelligence. That's the big talk today. If you notice in the market, and before I say that, I got to tell you this, all investments do carry risk of loss. Make sure you go do your due diligence. Past performance is no indicator of future results. Make sure you understand your risk tolerance and your time horizons, and make sure you're getting second opinions and things like that from professional advisors before you make your investment decisions. Now, you can make them on your own if you want, but this advice and this information I'm giving you today does not constitute financial advice that you need to act on. That being said, if you look at the market today, who's up? Who's up right now? That phrase, we up right now. Who's up right now? Well, Microsoft, AMD, NVIDIA, Rambus, the chip makers, AVGO. They're up right now. And last time I checked, they were up quite decently over the past 6 months. Or we haven't hit 6 months yet, but they're up. And these guys are up. But what have the experts been telling us about the market? You ought to be buying value stocks. You ought to be moving away from growth. Don't get involved in growth. Stick to value. Stick to things that pay you dividends. Because when it all comes crashing down, all your money's going to be crashing down with it. These guys missed out on a lot of money, but I digress. AI is hot and popping right now. ChatGPT 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever they call it, it is hot right now. They're talking about people losing their jobs left and right. And I'm going to get into that in a second. That's number one. AI is huge right now. What's number two? Over the next 20 years, roughly $11 trillion or more is going to be changing hands from the baby boomers to the Generation Xers, like me, down to the millennials, and then on down to the Generation XYZ or whatever you want to call it. There is going to be a massive wealth transfer over the next 20 years. And that money is going to find its way into the hands of people that are way younger than us. I'm going to be 50 this weekend. I'm going to put it out there, right? May 20th, I turned 50, the big 5-0. And it's forcing me to understand a couple of different things. I got to do better at making sure that I'm dialed in and not being checked out, because there's some major things that we're going to have to pay attention to. And there's some major things that we're going to have to get with the program on. Very serious stuff. $11 trillion changing hands. These kids are hot when it comes to AI. They're up on this stuff. They're up on TikTok. They're up on YouTube. They do their banking online. Most of the young people that work with me, they don't come in and see me. Everything is online. Everything is Zoom. Everything is WebEx or whatever it might be. They don't believe in having to sit down and talk to anybody face to face. That's not how it goes. Young people are breaking up via text. They're quitting their jobs via text. This is a different generation than we are. Let's talk about the job loss situation here. I'm having more and more people retire and get out of the workforce just simply due to the fact that their skill set is not being seen as valuable as it once was. Why is that? Because of the advancement in technology. A lot of my older clients now, their bosses are in their 30s and 40s. And it's a cultural gap like you wouldn't believe. The work ethic is different and the thought process is different. The younger people don't believe you need to stay there 4 or 5 extra hours a day to get the job done. Their goal is to get it done as efficiently as they can and then get out of there. An older generation might see that as being lazy. But what's happening is all of the new advancements are forcing older people out of the workforce, and companies are now favoring younger people that are more hip to technology, and they have a different way of looking and thinking about things. Now, is that right or wrong? Not necessarily. It's just different. So one of the things as an older person, if you want to stay in the workforce for the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to have to get dialed in with this technology thing. You're going to have to learn a little bit about AI. You're going to have to learn a little bit about Snapchat. You're going to have to learn a little bit about YouTube. You're going to have to make some changes, right? Especially if you want to remain in the workforce. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Because what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to change our skill set up a little bit. We're going to have to learn something a little bit different in order to not get ran over if you want to stay in the workforce. And this is important because, if you haven't saved everything that you need to save for retirement and you need that extra time in order to do that, then you're going to have to change your skill set up a little bit and not say, you know what, that's not who I am and I don't get down like that and that's not my generation and that's not my culture. If you want to stay involved and you want to get dialed in, you're going to have to make those adjustments. And maybe you have to take a class on computers. Maybe you have to go Google some AI stuff and learn a little bit about AI and how it works. Same thing with cryptocurrencies. I'm not a big believer in cryptocurrencies, but I do know something about them. And that's the whole key. Being dialed in simply means you're staying ahead and abreast of the information. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just information. We can't get lazy in that arena. We have to stay dialed in. One of the ways I stay dialed in is I talk to my kids all the time about what's out there and what's going on in the world that they live in, how they're making decisions, how they're doing things, because those kids are going to be my future clients when they get into the workforce and they begin to earn an income. They're going to have to understand how to invest, but yet and still, I'm going to have to bring the message to them in a manner in which they understand it and that it makes sense to them. I can't come in there with my old school style and my old school way of doing things over talking about the situation. What I'm learning about the young people is you don't need to say a lot. They're pretty smart people. You only need to say one or two things that they get it. They get it really quick, right? We don't need to draw similarities and comparisons and all of. They don't really want any of that. They want to get to the point and then get on to the next thing because their attention span is maybe 40 seconds at a time, if that, right? They're on to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Is that good or bad? It's not good. It's not bad. It's just different. Some of the behavior can be detrimental. It just kind of depends, right? Everybody has to have their set point in terms of not overindulge in something that they should not. That's very important. Let's talk about this $11 trillion, how it's going to be passed down. And this is extremely, extremely important. A large amount of that money is tied up in IRAs. IRAs and accounts that are not Roth related, which are tax-free, it's going to be passed down in a taxable manner. It is not going to go untaxed. The most important thing about this is they changed the rules a while back that now if you inherit this money, you have 10 years to take it all out. You have 10 years to take it all out. Whether you take it all out at the beginning, you take it out in a stream of steady payments until it's all gone, or you wait until the end and take it all out. So you're going to have a tax strategy in place to help mitigate the disaster that is coming down the road when it comes to this $11 trillion being passed down. Now, what is one of the most efficient ways you can offset taxes? Number one, you can use life insurance to help offset taxes. Life insurance is kind of costly, but it's important. One of the things we do in our rapid retire financial planning process is this. We use life insurance to help offset the taxes. And how do we pay for the life insurance policies? Well, we use the stock market gains to pay the premiums on the life insurance policy. So someone may say, okay, now this is not a guarantee. Someone may say, okay, I'm going to pay so many tens of thousands of dollars a year for my policy. There's a couple of different ways people can pay for that. Now, this all depends on your situation and how, whether you're a sophisticated investor or not. I've had some people using their rental properties to pay for the life insurance policies. I have some people using their home equity lines of credit, depending on if they're a sophisticated investor, from those rental properties in order to pay for it. It just depends on the situation. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody qualifies to do that. But that's one of the things that you can do. Why is that so important? Because the life insurance policy is passed down to your heirs, depending on how it's set up, tax-free. There are no taxes. You can leave $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, $50 million in life insurance to someone tax-free. And if you've been investing very well over the last 20, 30, 40 years, you probably have a sizable amount in your portfolios that you want to protect from these taxes. The other thing that people can do is they can convert to a Roth IRA. I'm sure you heard this stuff before, but the question is how do you go about doing that? Well, you have to sit down with your tax person and then figure out what is the tax situation going to be like when you begin doing these conversions, and make sure you plan accordingly in regards to how you're going to pay that tax. One of the things we do with our clients is we set up a money management plan where we can send them funds to send to the IRS every quarter directly to make sure that that's being covered. And if you want to know more about our money management plan, feel free to get on my schedule and I'll talk to you about that. But it's important that you have a strategy, because if you're going to be inheriting money, and this is something crazy, what I find is a lot of people don't want to talk to their family members about whether or not they're going to give them anything. I understand that. But if you're an older person and you're listening to the show, here's something you got to understand. If you are going to pass down money, you don't want to put your beneficiary, you don't want to put them in a bad spot. Because let's say they're a husband and wife making $200,000-$300,000 a year, and all of a sudden, boom, you drop $500,000 on them in an IRA, an inherited IRA. They got 10 years to take that out. For the next 10 years, unless they defer it, their tax bracket is going to be through the roof, because now they got to take this money out over the next 10 years. And so whether they take it all out lump sum in the beginning or in the end, there's going to be a big tax bite. Now, the other thing is this. If they're in the process of sending their kids to college, colleges look at all of this money that's coming in. I've seen it happen time and time again, where all of a sudden you're trying to apply for financial aid, boom, you get inheritance. Maybe it's not enough to cover the whole thing, but now you're being shot in the foot for financial aid because someone left you money in the wrong kind of position, and it's not enough to cover the whole cost of college. And so you're going to be giving up financial aid. There's a lot of different things that go into this financial planning process when it comes to this $11 trillion coming down the pipe. So if you think that you are going to be inheriting money down the road from a family member, regardless of whether you know what it is, you definitely want to sit down and talk to somebody about it and make sure you're planning accordingly so that when this money hits you, it doesn't hit you in the wrong way. So, number one, this AI thing is hot. You got to learn about it. You got to look at companies that are moving forward with AI, and you definitely want to take a look at adding some of those in your portfolio. Some of them are risky. Be careful because there's a lot of people saying that they're they're getting involved in AI, and it's going to be just like the .com bubble when everybody says, yeah, I got a .com, I'm so-and-so.com. Next thing you know, boom, they're bankrupt, nothing. IPO went big, they got their money, they're out, and now you're left holding the bag with some crappy .com company that's not worth jack. Same thing is going to happen with the AI. So you got to make sure that you're getting into the right AI players, right? Number two, you're going to have to make sure you're dialed in and that you are getting ahead of the information and you're not getting ran over. So I just wanted to drop this little nugget on you folks, these couple of things on you today, just to kind of share with you where I'm at and what I'm thinking and what I see going on in my world today. And so if you want to talk about our money management plan and how maybe to help make sure that when the $11 trillion does begin to hit, that you're not in a bad place in order to receive that money. Everybody thinks, yeah, I'm going to get an inheritance is great. But sometimes the way it's left behind to you can be very problematic in your situation. So click in the show notes, click on my calendar. I'd love to sit down and chat with you just to kind of see where you folks are at and to make sure there's no hidden disasters waiting for you. So thanks for allowing me to share this with you folks today. Until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.